Hello again, it's Pixie back with another Netflix horror fix, and today we are looking at Banshee chapter. Well, it's not quite the Babadook. This one is daft. It reminds me of a mixture of, every conspiracy you ever heard, ever, and creepypastas. Actually, there's something about it that just reminds me of, I don't know, marble hornets and that sort of stuff. And there's a bit of it. There's a section towards the end that just flat out reminded me of a level in Slender: The Arrival. The full version of Slender: The 8 Pages, or whatever. Very silly game. Jump scare simulator. This plays out like a jump scare simulator game. Set up, exposition, slight build of tension, jump scare. Set up, exposition, slight atmosphere, jump scare. Really, guys, do we have to have this many jump scares? Oh well. So this is, it claims to, I don't think it even claims to be based on a true story or anything. It does use some real footage, because the main idea is based on something that really happened, Project MK Ultra, which was in the 50s to 60s in America. The CIA illegally did experiments on people to see if they could control their minds. Yeah, and that came out during the Clinton administration as something that they had done because there was I assume like a freedom of information claim, or I've got to be honest, I'm not entirely sure I have a copy, not copyright, what do I mean, freedom of information laws work in the States, but yeah, that all came out, and everyone was duly horrified by the fact that people have tried to do this. America, please stop doing these bonkers things. These are the reasons people stop trusting you. Sorry, let's shift this on a bit. No, shift it that way. There we go. There. Now I'm slightly more in frame. The idea is that somebody, a gifted young researchy typey, filmmakery typey, is in the process of writing a book about conspiracies and stuff, and tracks down, I'm not sure if he tracks down some of the recordings or just the drug that was supposedly used, and takes it for an experiment on his own. Well, not on his own, he's got his friend there filming him. Don't do that, that's a really dumb idea. So he takes this drug and starts freaking out, gets very, very paranoid, starts talking about, they can suddenly hear this radio sort of staticky music, and he's sort of going, what's that? It sounds like it's coming closer. Well, how can it be coming closer? And then goes outside, and then something unpleasant happens, and both he and his friend go missing. So the rest of the film is a young, what do they describe her as? Something journalist. Mine's gone. I keep trying to say research journalist, but that's not what, investigative journalist, that's what I mean, because she does investigating. Yeah. It's been a long day at work, okay. So yeah, she's trying to track down what happened to her friends, because these two lads who got themselves in a mess with friends of hers at university. She tried to get back in touch, you know, and couldn't get hold of them. So she's trying to track them down. She's doing some research about MK Ultra and all of that, and ends up on this sort of bizarre road trip where she finds some of the recordings about what happened, and each recording that they show is that same setup where it's sort of set up, exposition, tiny bit of atmosphere, jump scare. That was really obnoxious. I'm sorry. It's almost as obnoxious as some of this film. No, it wasn't that bad. It just was bizarre. So she finds some of these recordings and does some research, and for some reason ends up trying to get in touch with a fruitcake writer, drug addict type. I think he's supposed to be a bit like Aldous Huxley and Hunter S. Thompson sort of rolled into one, only, you know, still alive and miraculously still alive, and it's played by Ted Levine, and he's sort of the only really funny character in this. He's just sort of either completely off his face or grumpy for most of the film, which is kind of entertaining. So she pretends to be another sort of like-minded artisty writer type, and ends up going to a private party with this writer type, a very dodgy PhD student lady who has got hold of some of this magic drug, and that's it. There's not much of a party. I'm just going to call him. No, I'm not. I can't call him Hunter S. Thompson. That's unfair. That's unfair on Hunter S. Thompson. He's a much better writer than this guy seems to be. I think his name was like. I can't remember the surname they give this guy, but his first name is Thomas. So I'll just call him Thomas because calling him writer type is obnoxious. So writer type possibly tricks her into taking some of this drug. She thinks she's being super clever, and it turns out that actually he knows that she's not who she says she is, because she's doing a bloody bad job at lying. She's very unsubtle, and so he takes some of it. This PhD student girl takes some, and central character lady may or may not. There's a lot of sort of backwards and forwarding on whether he tricked her or... Well, he tricks her, but has he... did he actually trick her, or was he just saying that he tricked her? Does it matter? Why? Well, I guess it doesn't matter, but again, why? Nobody behaves normally in this film. Everybody behaves as though they're in a poorly written creepypasta. For those who don't know, creepypastas are copy and paste creepy stories. One or two of them are actually fairly good and well written. The vast majority are not. So yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why this reminds me of a creepypasta. It just really does. I guess it's a sort of trying to convince you it's a real hodgepodge of things that happened and things that clearly didn't. Anyway, there's also this business about number stations in this, which number stations were probably something to do with the Cold War, right? Right. Okay. For people who don't know, there are, I think they're just in America, they may be worldwide, I'm not sure, radio stations, sort of amateurly set up radio stations that literally just repeat numbers and codes, and some of them sing songs, and there's quite a few of them, and nobody knows for certain what they're for. One of the more plausible things I've heard is that they were ways to get in touch with spies working in enemy lands. Again, but nobody knows where they come from for certain. Nobody knows what they mean for certain. I believe some of them are still going, and you can tune right in and listen to them if you really, really want to. I've listened to a few recordings. They're not very interesting. There's robot voices saying numbers and nursery rhymes and occasional snippets of music, and I can totally see why people want to make them into horror stories, because there is something desperately eerie about them. And it's that sort of X-Files-y thing where it's a bit of a mystery still. So in this daft old film that we're talking about, I say old, it's like 2 years old. I didn't mean old. I meant daft film. I don't know why I added the word old. What am I talking about? Number stations, right? Yes. I'm sorry, I'm having a complete brain fart right now. So yeah, in this, there's a sort of magical number station known as the Wandering Traveller that moves and seems to be attached to these entities who come for people who have taken this drug. And for most of the film I was sitting there thinking, well, how do they know that they've taken the drug? And I don't understand. It is actually explained. Again, that will be towards the end of this. I'll do my little spoiler hands. I don't know why this is my spoiler hands, but let's go with that. So yeah, once they've all taken a bit of this drug, chemical compound, whatever, PhD student lady suddenly starts saying, oh, they're coming for us, I can hear them, there's one near the door, they want to wear us. Now I do quite like that as a line, they want to wear us. That's a wonderful creepy image. And to this film's credit, you only ever see very, very short, tiny sort of, a few frames, a fraction of a second glimpses of the creatures themselves, which is quite effective. So, well done on that one. One of them attacks, the PhD girl apparently dies or disappears. And main character lady and Thomas, the drug-addled writer, go off on another road trip to try and find what this drug compound was, what it's made of, and where PhD girl found the formula for it. And so she, there's business with walkie-talkies and him staying in the car and grumbling, and her wandering around and grumbling, and sort of goes down into this basement sort of meth lab, horror meth lab, and finds even more recordings, and spoiler, if even slightly interested in this one, I'm going to do the big reveal bit, I'm sorry. So this film is very heavily inspired by From Beyond, as in the H.P. Lovecraft story, not the film based on it, although kind of based on it, I guess. It's not as sexy as From Beyond the movie. It's not as visually interesting as From Beyond the movie either. Now, if you haven't read it, From Beyond is about somebody who discovers there's basically kind of like a tuning fork device, electronic tuning fork thing that stimulates the pineal gland. I don't know why I tried to sort of, I don't know where the pineal gland is, but in stimulating it, he starts to see these entities that are, from beyond. And he pushes it and pushes it and pushes it and tunes and tunes and tunes this magic tuning fork, and then suddenly realises too late that the entities can see him too. It's a two-way mirror, two-way door maybe. So with that in place, you can kind of suddenly realise what this is about. It turns out through one of the recordings that the formula for magic drug that doesn't exist was given by one of these entities. So it is effectively from beyond if the entities had it in first of all given given over this tuning fork. And it's never really made particularly clear why these entities want to wear us, but they sort of track down anybody who's taken the drug and sort of get inside. So yeah, the rest of the film is a race to a sort of fallout shelter that has been repurposed as the CIA's MK Ultra home research lab. You get a few more glimpses of these creatures, which are basically humans with the smear tool put on their face. So they look like, a bit like they've had a really, really awful stroke. And their eyes black out and their mouths black out. So it's like if you had a stroke but you've been eating an awful lot of licorice or squid ink. If you'd eaten a squid, an entire squid, not just calamari, the entire squid, including the ink, and then had either had a stroke or played with a Photoshop Premiere tool, so you're kind of like this. No offence to anybody who's had a stroke. They do actually run in my family. Yeah, that got dark. I apologise for my dark analogy. Wow. Yes. So yeah. For the most part, they look, they look a bit odd. I did try and freeze frame on a couple of them just to see a bit better. It's all very blurry, and again, it's shot. For the most part, it's shot sort of shaky cam, not quite found footage, but shaky cam. There are bits that are sort of found footage-y, and I never understand these films that try to do both. It doesn't work to me. But anyway, and everybody dies apart from main character lady, and then she gets taken to the police and tries to explain everything that's going on. And then here's the radio static again, well, sort of radio static plus noise, so it's not quite a Silent Hill ripoff, but I've got to say the whole fallout shelter bit, sorry, I just got really distracted by the fallout shelter. I've been playing that on my phone. I was probably really going to date this when I say that. So yeah, the whole fallout shelter sequence, please focus, Pixie, focus. You're talking about horror films, the thing that you love. I'm really sorry this evening. I've gone a little too many bad films. Yeah, it really reminded me of the inside a building level in Slender the Arrival. If you've played that, if you haven't, sort of running around in corridors in almost first person with a very, very weak flashlight. And then occasional horrible things making noises and jumping out at you. Well, not even jumping out, just sort of turning around and suddenly seeing them, and they're making a lot of static noise, a la Slender Man. Which is why, part of the reason I say this reminds me awfully of creepypasta, sort of, Marble Hornets, Everyman Hybrids, that sort of thing. I don't know if that's what they were trying to go for, but that's definitely the impression I got. So I won't say this is bad. I was sitting there thinking, especially since this was the first one I've watched since Babadook, I was sitting there thinking, yeah, this isn't good, but at the same time I was kind of enjoying it, and there were moments where I was sort of, you know, the jump scares are effectively done. I did jump at almost every one of them. There is just enough tension built up that they are effective. So it's, you know, okay, they do make a loud noise at you, but, you know, yeah, if you're into jumping at things, this could be fun. I kind of enjoy the whole sort of dopey, clearly not real conspiracy theory tack that they're going for. It kind of reminds me of kind of a low rent X-Files, and I did love the X-Files until like season 7 when everything got stupid, and probably slightly before season 7. Basically everything after Sully being pregnant and alien babies I wasn't really into, but the first like 5 or so seasons were great. I am very distracted today. I think we should just stop with this one. Because, to be honest, I don't have an awful lot to say about it, which is why I keep getting very distracted, because it's dumb. I mean, it's slightly creepy in that it sort of touches on slightly creepy things that really didn't happen. You know, MK Ultra happened, and that's terrifying. Number stations still exist, and we don't know what they are, and that's disturbing. So yeah, if you're into those sort of conspiracy theory type things and sort of, you know, the Great American Mysteries, mysterious mysteries type I'm sorry, I can just suddenly have visions of Dib from Invader Zim just running around chasing down number stations, and I would watch that show. Anyway, yes, I will be back next, hopefully slightly less distracted. I think I should just go to bed. What have we got next? Oh dear. Next on the list is Beast of the Bering Sea. Well, that sounds daft. Hopefully it's good daft. Hopefully it's like fun, doofy daft. Yeah, that will be the next one. That will be your next dose, and until then I am going to try and sort my brain out. Bye. See you next time. Don't get nightmares.